everybody, it's me, Miss Lisa, and welcome to Stitch Kids. The project we are going to begin today is a wild water bottle holder, perfect for spring adventures, a hands-free way to carry your water wherever you go. To complete this project, you will need a craft kit from the South Huntington Public Library. Your craft kit will include one piece of patterned fabric, a little piece of rope, some embroidery thread, a squishy round circle, and a set of step-by-step instructions. You will need to provide a pair of scissors and your sewing kit, including pins and needles. All right, when you have all of those things gathered together, we can get started. We're going to start by working with the instructions. Your instructions have a very pattern-like design here at the top. This is telling us where the fabric fold will go before we start stitching. Your fabric is in your kit, and it is already folded the way that it should be, and it is already the size that it needs to be. Just be sure that if you do take it out of your kit, that the bright patterned part stays on the outside and the not so bright part is on the inside. And when you start sewing, the fold of the fabric needs to be away from you. So what you're going to do is use a whip stitch to sew up the left side, use a whip stitch to sew across the top. You will leave the right side and the bottom unstitched, and then we will follow the rest of the instructions from there. When you have finished whip stitch along the side and across the top, it's time to tie off. So find your last stitch, put the needle underneath, and pull to make a knot. I'm going to make a double knot, so I'll put the needle underneath, put the needle through the loop. Oops, where's the loop? This very twisty thread here. There we go, there's the loop. And pull, and then you can trim. Okay. Trim any loose bits of thread that you would like. Okay, now the next step involves your water bottle. You're going to lay your water bottle in the middle of the fabric. Roll the whipped stitch side over your water bottle and roll the other side over the water bottle. We're going to do some double pinning here so we can hold this in place while you fold some fabric. So you see where the left side of your fabric ended up right here, and it's now being covered by the right side, which is unfinished. Take a pin from your sewing kit, and you can sort of feel where that edge of the fabric is underneath there, and just pin the top fabric to that bottom fabric. You're going to go through a lot of layers, so you may have to work at it a little bit. But we're going to use this as an extra set of hands to hold this while we fold the other side. We're not folding the unfinished side before we roll it because everybody's going to have a different size water bottle, and we want to make sure that the water bottle is totally covered with fabric and stay covered with fabric when we fold over this unfinished edge. All right, so we are going to fold over the unfinished edge like this. Try to fold it as straight as you can. There we go. And now take more pins from the pin pal and poke those pins through this fold catching the fabric underneath. It might be a little tricky. You might need a grown-up to be an even extra set of hands for you. And fold and pin all the way down to the bottom. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to stitch down the side, and we're just going to do a decorative whip stitch all the way, I guess, down the side or up the side, however you want to think of it. I think we'll start at the bottom here and we'll whip stitch up. So we'll start underneath. That way, actually no, we don't need to start underneath because we're going to turn this inside out at some point. So at the bottom, push your needle through the one side of the fabric and come out just under your fold like that and pull it through. Decide how long you'd like your stitch to be. Push the needle through and come up just under the fold and pull. So we're tacking down the unfinished edge. We've finished the edge with a nice fold, and now we're going to decorate the edge with some bright colored embroidery floss. So continue using this stitch all the way up to the top. And remember, as you are sewing, keep an eye on how much thread you have here on your needle. You don't want it to get too short, otherwise you'll have trouble making a knot when you need to rethread. Okay, and if your pins are in your way, you can always move them. Just be sure to put them back in a little dish or stick the pins back into your pin pal so they don't roll off the table and your grown-ups don't step on them. All right, so continue with your whip stitch all the way up to the top, and then we will assemble the bottom. When you've reached the end, it's time to tie off your thread. Find the last stitch you made, put the needle underneath, pull it through, leaving a loop, put the needle through the loop, and pull to make a knot. And I'm going to do that one more time just to make sure I have a nice solid knot here so the stitches don't fall out when I'm walking around with my water bottle. Put needle back in pin pal, trim the loose threads here, and let's remove the water bottle, set it aside, and remove the pins. Make sure you've got all of them stashed away safely in either your pin pal or in a little dish or a bowl. Okay, now we are going to turn this piece inside out before we add the bottom piece of the water bottle holder. We are going to do this even though you have a nice pretty pattern on both sides. What we're trying to do is hide this flap. That's the fabric we were just working with. And we're going to hide the stitches that we make as we attach the bottom of the water bottle. Remember, when you're turning something inside out, everything that is on the outside when you're sewing will eventually be on the inside. So whatever you don't want to see will be on the inside. This little piece of Amazon mailer, which is a little piece of stiff bubble wrap, is going to be the bottom of your water bottle. And the bottom of your water bottle holder is this part here that we left open when we were doing the whip stitching. So this is going to be a little tricky because you're adding a circle to something that would rather be a rectangle. So we'll take this slowly. Open this up so you have a tube. And be sure that both layers of fabric are in your fingers here. You don't want it to be like this. You want to see your pattern on the inside here. Okay, now remember, the thing we don't want to see has to be on the outside right now. I don't want to see the blue part of my mailer, so I'm going to put that right in here and match it up to the side of the water bottle holder. Take a pin and pin those edges together as best you can, lining up the fabric and the bubble wrap. Now move to the side and do the same thing. And this is going to be a little tricky because the fabric wants to fold up onto itself, and you want the fabric to match up to the edge of the bubble wrap. So it's going to take a lot of extra pinching on your part while you're pinning and while you're sewing, but don't worry, that's just part of this process. So take it slow and just do a little bit at a time. Okay, so now I've got this weird flap piece too, and the main part of the water bottle holder. Put those together as best you can. Line them up as best you can. If they don't match exactly, that's all right. Remember, the bumpy parts will be all on the inside. And we're going to keep going. If it isn't pinned perfect, don't worry. It's something that you can correct as you're sewing. We can make up for any gaps as you're stitching along. But at least this is going to hold it in place so you don't accidentally sew some pieces together that aren't meant to be sewn together. You'll see what I'm saying as we get started. Okay, there we go. I think this is where we started pinning, so we'll start stitching right there. Use your needle with the large eye, and you can use your needle threader if you'd like, or you can just wing it. I think I better use the threader. Looks like I'm going to separate all of these strands. I would like them to stay together. There we go. Pull it through, and just like before, you'll leave a tail at the needle end, and you'll make a double knot at the tail end. The tail. There we go. Okay, and now you are just going to whip stitch all the way around the bottom. And this is what I mean when I say that this is going to require a little bit of extra pinching on your part. So I'm going to take out that first pin and hold everything really tight with my thumb. Push the needle through the fabric and the bubble wrap and pull. And you can go in any direction you'd like, just making sure that you keep that fabric and the bubble wrap lined up. This will probably be a little slower going than it was doing the edges. Don't worry about it. And if you have to stop and take a break, that's okay too. You've got everything pinned together, so it won't fall apart if you decide you want to rest or save part of the project for another time. Okay. So we'll just continue very slowly with the whip stitch, making sure that the fabric stays lined up as you go around. Oh, just bumped my camera. Okay, so that's the important thing, is to make sure that that fabric and bubble wrap are lined up, so you'll have a nice neat circle on the bottom of your water bottle holder that will match up to your water bottle. So you can see how it's a little puckery right here. I'm going to remove, there's the pucker. I'm going to just go ahead and remove the pin and use my fingers to kind of flatten that out and continue stitching all the way around. All right. So I won't keep you here watching me stitch all the way around, but I will caution you that it can get a little tricky over here with this flap. You can leave the flap up if you want to, or you can hold it down with your fingers and pinch and push the needle through all that fabric and the bubble wrap too. It's up to you. The important thing is to make sure that your fabric stays lined up with that bubble wrap. All right, so go ahead and continue all the way around. When you're finished, tie off your stitch and we'll continue. When you've gone all the way around the bottom, it's time to be sure that you have removed all of the pins. And when you are sure all of the pins have been removed, push the bottom through the water bottle holder to turn it right side out. Okay, there we go. So now we have all of your beautiful decorative stitches are on the outside where they belong, and the blue Amazon mailer is down at the bottom where it belongs. If you have any stray bits of thread, you can cut those off right now. Smooth it out as much as you can with your fingers, very gently. And now it's time to add the straps. Okay, so with the other bottle holder I made, let me show that to you. I kind of folded the water bottle holder so that the seam was in the center of this rectangular shape, and then I added the straps to the sides. We're going to do that same thing with this one. So you can kind of fold it a little bit so it looks like a rectangle with your decorative seam going right down the middle. Your kit includes a piece of rope, which you will use as a strap. Decide how long you would like your strap to be. It will be shorter if you sew it way down here. It'll be a little bit longer if you put it up toward the top. I would like mine to be a little bit longer. And very carefully, if you can, pin it to the side, like so. So the pin went through the fabric, through the rope, and then back through the fabric. I'm going to do the same on the other side, trying to keep them as even as possible. Even meaning halfway between, well, let's see, even meaning exactly on this side and exactly on that side. So they will be on both sides of your water bottle. Pin through the fabric, pin through the rope, and back into the fabric. All right, you'll have your needle loaded up with kind of a long piece of embroidery floss, a tail at the needle end, and a knot at the tail, like that. And now we're going to tack the straps onto the water bottle holder. So come up through the bottom as close to the knotted part of the rope as you can get and pull it through. Pull the embroidery floss over the rope and then push it back down as close to the rope as you can get, and then pull. There we go. So now if your pin is in the way, you can move it. It looks like it's going to be in my way. I'm going to do this 3 or 4 times on both sides to make sure that the handle is nice and secure. So this is number 2, stitch number 2. And come up as close to the rope as you can. And this is stitch number 3. And I'm making sure that I don't go all the way through the whole water bottle holder, using my fingers to separate the sides. There we go. So I think that was 1, 2, 3. One more, looks good. Oops, just went up through the rope. Okay, then back down as close to the rope as I can. Pull through. Then turn it inside out for for a little bit. Find your last stitch, put the needle under the stitch, leave a loop, put the needle through the loop to make a knot, and then we'll do that one more time to make sure it's nice and secure, and trim your thread. Okay, now go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And if your rope looks a little fuzzy like this and you don't want it to look that way, just trim the fuzzies off of the rope. Okay, now you can go ahead and do the other side. Now your water bottle holder is finished and it is ready for your water bottle. All you need to do is slip it inside and you're ready to go. So thank you again for stitching with me. I hope you had fun, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Take care.